You did not click this video by accident. On some level beyond the ache of your schedule and the noise of your notifications, something in you has been calling, quietly but persistently, for a key, a pattern, a language that explains why life bends the way it does. Tonight, that call is being answered. Not by me, by something far older, speaking through a thin little book that refuses to die, the Kybalion. If it has crossed your path more than once, if its name That is why people either skim it and forget it, or they encounter it at the exact fracture point where their old worldview is collapsing and it detonates like a beacon. Tonight, we are going to walk through the 7 principles not as cliches you've half heard, but as weapons of light and instruments of remembrance. We will expose how they operate in your trauma, your desires, your triggers, your synchronicities, your so-called failures. The goal is not to idolize a book. The goal is to recognize the intelligence that has been quietly shaping your path all along. Maybe you've been feeling it, old patterns suffocating, fake positivity rotting on your tongue, hollow teachings no longer landing. You might be drifting from the beliefs you were handed and hovering in that terrifying in-between, no longer asleep, but not yet clear. Hear me. That in-between is sacred. That is the threshold where real knowledge can finally land. That is where the Kybalion waits. So as you listen, don't treat this like content. Treat it like a conversation with the architecture of reality itself. If a line stings, sit with it. If something unlocks a memory of who you once were before the world named you, honor it. This is your higher self using an old hermetic signal flare to say, I'm still here. Let's remember how this place works. And if you are here, still watching, heart slightly pounding for reasons you can't explain, then yes, this book found you for a reason. Let's open it. In the beginning was the mind, is the line no one wrote down, but every mystic heard. The first principle of the Kybalion whispers, all is mind. Not all is your ego. Not you individually control every cloud. But that the universe itself is mental, arising within a vast living intelligence, a field of awareness in which everything moves and has its being. You are not outside that mind. You are a thought within it, made in its image, capable of thought that echoes back into the field. This is not fluffy manifesting. It is both humbling and terrifying. Because if reality is fundamentally mental, then your beliefs are not private. They are architecture. Your assumptions about love, worth, scarcity, divinity, they bend probability around you. Each inner conclusion becomes a small law you unconsciously enforce upon your own life. You meet, again and again, not fate, but your most persistent definitions. Look back at the most painful cycles you've carried. The I am not enough, the people always leave, the life is against me. Can you see how life kept arranging scenes to agree with those scripts? Not as punishment, but as a brutal mirror, echoing your inner verdict until you finally questioned it. Mentalism is not blame, it is explanation. The universe cannot stop you from misusing your power. It can only reveal the consequences until you alchemize them. This principle shatters victimhood and annihilates spiritual laziness. It tells you your consciousness is not a side effect, it is a steering wheel. You're bathing in a sea of infinite impressions, and what you continually hold, expect, and emotionally feed becomes more real to you. The Kybalion doesn't say this to inflate your ego, it says this to awaken your responsibility. What are you rehearsing silently all day long? At the same time, mentalism is a mercy, because if reality is mind, then nothing is as solid as it pretends to be. Trauma is not your essence. Stories can be rewritten, identities can be dissolved. Chains made of thought can be broken by thought illuminated with higher light. You're not locked in a prison of matter, you're standing inside a persistent suggestion. When you hear, all is mind, listen deeper. All is meaningful. All is communicative. Life is not a dead machine, it is a speaking presence. Synchronicities, repeating symbols, piercing intuitions, dreams that feel more real than daylight. This is the field whispering back. The same mind that holds galaxies is the mind that nudges you with a line, a book, a video, at the exact second you're ready. Tonight, let this principle confront you. Where are you handing your creative authority to fear? Where are you declaring limitations as laws? Where are you confusing your current mental pattern with ultimate truth? The Kybalion stands there like a mirror and asks, if you knew your thoughts were sigils carved into the fabric of reality, would you still think the way you do? You were drawn here to remember, you are not just thinking in the mind of God. You are learning to think with it. As above, so below, as within, so without. This line has been printed on every mystical t-shirt in existence, but most people never dare to use it as a blade. The principle of correspondence is not a cute slogan, it is a ruthless diagnostic tool. It declares that patterns echo across all levels of reality: cosmic, psychic, emotional, physical. This means that what you refuse to face within will right itself in events without. If your inner world is ruled by unworthiness, you will continuously select relationships, jobs, and trajectories that confirm the wound. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because your energy recognizes what matches your imprint. If you distrust life, you will encounter situations that seem to justify that distrust. The outer is not mocking you. It is mirroring you, begging you to notice the correspondence and choose again. This law moves upward too. The structure of atoms whispers of galaxies. The architecture of the nervous system echoes cosmic webs. The mythic stories of gods and eons mirror psychological forces within us. When scripture tells of heavens and thrones and principalities, it is not only describing out there, it is mapping in here. The Kybalion dares you to see your psyche as a temple whose layout corresponds to the universe itself. Correspondence is how initiates read reality. Nothing is just random. You see a repeated symbol, the same number, the same word, the same archetype, and instead of brushing it off, you inquire, what is this reflecting? What inner belief, what soul question, what buried desire is being echoed? Your life becomes a living oracle, not a paranoid decoding of everything, but a reverent awareness that the universe is in conversation with you. When you heal an inner wound, watch how the outer scripts begin to break. When you soften a judgment, watch how a different type of person enters your orbit. When you align with integrity, watch how certain opportunities fall away, making space for ones that match your new frequency. This isn't magic tricks. It is correspondence doing what it always does. This principle also protects you from deception. False light loves to promise outer salvation without inner transformation. But correspondence exposes that lie. You cannot sustainably experience what you are not willing to become. You cannot live in a world of truth while feeding on self-delusion. You cannot demand cosmic trust while weaponizing your own mind against yourself. As within, so without. As you show up in the unseen, so life responds in the seen. So ask yourself, if my life is a mirror, what is it showing me about how I treat myself, my body, my dreams, my soul? If my relationships are a reflection, what are they saying about my boundaries and my beliefs? If my spiritual path is stagnant, where am I waiting for them or it to change instead of aligning inside first? You are not being punished. You are being spoken to. The Kybalion simply hands you the decoder and says, will you finally read your life as a message? Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. The Kybalion uttered this long before people turned vibes into #aesthetics. At the core, this principle reveals that all forms, your thoughts, your body, your emotions, your words, are frequencies in motion. You are not just in an energetic field, you are broadcasting into it. Your unhealed pain has a frequency. Your shame has a frequency. Your self-respect has a frequency. Your devotion to truth has a frequency. These signals call and repel, attract and dissolve. This is why trying to speak affirmations on top of unresolved wounds often feels hollow. The mouth says, I am worthy, but the nervous system is still vibrating, I am unsafe. The field responds more honestly to your underlying tone than to your surface script. This is not to condemn you, it is to invite precision. Rather than spiritually gaslighting yourself, the Kybalion invites you to listen. What do I chronically feel? What emotional weather patterns dominate my inner climate? Resentment, despair, quiet awe, radical gratitude? That emotional baseline is not morally judged by the universe, but it does tune the type of experiences that feel magnetized to you. The principle of vibration explains why healing changes your life even before anything external shifts. When you process grief, integrate shadow, forgive yourself, your signal changes. You become less compatible with certain dynamics. People who fed on your self-betrayal fall away. Doors that matched your fear close. New alignments appear not because the law finally worked, but because you finally aligned with a different tone. It also explains why this world is so noisy. If you can be kept vibrating at fear, outrage, shame, distraction, you become predictable to systems that feed on low-frequency chaos. Hermetic wisdom is not passive, it is insurgent. To guard your vibration is an act of spiritual rebellion. To choose depth over dopamine, presence over panic, is to step out of the farm of harvested attention and back into authorship. You don't maintain a high vibration by denying darkness, but by metabolizing it, by letting feeling move instead of calcify, by telling yourself the truth fast, by returning again and again to practices, people, and spaces that tune you to coherence instead of fragmentation. Stillness is a frequency. Reverence is a frequency. Discernment is a frequency. So listen. What song are you unconsciously singing into the field? Whose playlist are you letting program your emotional body, the news cycle, the algorithm, your past abusers, or your higher intelligence? Tonight, the Kybalion is not asking you to fake a frequency. It is inviting you to choose one. Because once you fully accept that everything is vibration, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What in me resonates with this, and do I still choose it?" We live in an age of extremes: love versus hate, spiritual versus material, light versus dark, awakened versus asleep, left versus right. The world is engineered to make you choose a side and demonize the other. The Kybalion slices through this with surgical clarity. Opposites are the same thing, differing only in degree. Heat and cold, fear and courage, ego and essence, they exist on a single continuum. This doesn't mean everything is the same, so nothing matters. It means that transformation often happens not by leaping to a new spectrum, but by transmuting where you stand upon it. Hate and love are poles on the emotional scale of connection. The task is to move your consciousness up the scale toward unconditional regard, not pretend the scale doesn't exist. Fear and courage are poles on the spectrum of response to danger. The task is not to eradicate fear, but to elevate it into clarity and aligned action. The controllers of this world weaponize polarity to keep you fragmented. They trap seekers in us versus them spiritual elitism. They seduce old believers into demonizing new knowledge. They convince you that any nuance is betrayal. But Hermetic wisdom reveals, if you are possessed by extremity, you are being played. You are hypnotized by one pole, blind to the underlying unity. Polarity also lives inside you. You want intimacy, but fear vulnerability. You crave purpose, but cling to comfort. You long for transcendence, but numb with distraction. You judge your shadows as if they are proof you're unworthy, instead of seeing them as the low end of a spectrum you're meant to raise into wisdom. The alchemist does not amputate entire parts of themselves. They lift them. To apply this principle is to ask, where am I swinging? Where am I over-identifying with one extreme, rigid skepticism or blind belief, ascetic denial or hedonistic escape? Where have I lost the center line that sees both sides, extracts the truth within each, and rises above the war? Polarity understood becomes fuel. Polarity blindly obeyed becomes a cage. The Kybalion offers you a weapon. Once you know that extremes are degrees, you can choose your degree. You can feel anger and slide it into clear boundaries instead of cruelty. You can feel sorrow and slide it into compassion instead of despair. You can encounter darkness and slide it into discernment instead of paralysis. The greatest trick of false light is convincing you that the goal is to amputate the dark. The greatest wisdom of Hermetic law is realizing the task is to integrate and elevate it. You are not here to be a fragile fragment of the spectrum. You are here to become the conscious bridge. So the question becomes, will you continue being tossed between poles by external manipulation, or will you stand in the center of your being and start transmuting? There is a pulse behind everything. Tides rise and fall, moons wax and wane. You inhale, you exhale. Nations ascend, nations decay. Your faith surges, your faith is tested. The Kybalion names this the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing is universal. Most people experience this law as emotional whiplash. When life is bright, they clutch in fear, waiting for the fall. When life is dark, they collapse, forgetting dawn exists. They mistake seasons for verdicts. Rhythm then becomes torment, a constant sense you're at the mercy of forces you can't predict. Hermetic understanding offers another way. You cannot abolish rhythm, but you can learn to anticipate, to neutralize, to surf. When you are in a season of expansion, insight, connection, abundance, use it to plant deep roots, strengthen practices, clarify your intentions. When the inevitable contraction comes, doubt, fatigue, shadow, delay, you recognize it as the backswing, not as proof that everything is lost. You hold your center, refusing to let the pendulum hijack your identity. Rhythm applies to your healing too. You have breakthroughs, and then regress. Old patterns resurface, ancient grief erupts, temptations return. You think you've failed, but seen through Hermetic eyes, the backswing is integration. It's life asking, will you be who you realized you are, even here, even now? If you answer yes, the swing loses power over you. The manipulators of consciousness exploit rhythm to create cycles of fear and relief. Crisis, distraction, crisis, distraction. This keeps you addicted to short-term fixes rather than long-term transformation. Recognizing the pattern is the first act of freedom. Announce to your own soul, I will no longer interpret every winter as the end, nor every summer as invincibility. I ride the whole wave. Practically, this means honoring your cycles. There will be days of silence where nothing lands. Stay devoted. There will be nights of fire where everything aligns. Stay humble. There will be stretches where your path feels invisible. Stay listening. You are not failing when you feel low. You are being invited to anchor what you gained in the heights. Rhythm, once befriended, becomes one of your greatest allies. It teaches you patience in growth, reverence in success, endurance in pain. It reminds you that no lie can rule forever, no empire stands unshaken, no darkness is immune to dawn. So when your life swings, as it will, ask not, why is God abandoning me? Ask, what is this phase perfect for? What can only be purified, learned or born right here, at this point in the arc? The Kybalion smiles in the background. You're starting to remember. We throw the word karma around like cosmic gossip. They'll get what's coming. The Kybalion cuts cleaner. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing merely happens. Chance is a name for laws not yet recognized. This isn't about a petty universe slapping your wrist. It's about pattern, consequence, and responsibility. Every thought you indulge, every action you take, every boundary you keep or violate, every truth you speak or bury, these are causes. They ripple. They shape your nervous system, your character, your opportunities, your relationships. Effects are not always immediate, which is why the unconscious convinces itself it can plant poison and harvest peace. But the field never forgets. This principle is not sent to shame you for past ignorance. It is sent to awaken your present power. You cannot control all events on this planet. You are not to blame for every wound inflicted by others, but you are invited to become a conscious cause in your own life, to sow what you actually want to live inside, to stop outsourcing your destiny to coincidence and start living as if what you choose matters, because it does. Cause and effect also exposes spiritual manipulation. If a teaching tells you you're helpless, that everything is just God's mysterious will, that you have no say, understand how that serves systems of control. Hermetic wisdom insists you are not the ultimate cause, but you are a real cause. Your alignment, courage, integrity, creativity, love, they alter timelines. They interrupt generational patterns. They break spells. Yes, there are larger webs of causation, collective, ancestral, cosmic. You are born into stories you did not write, but now you are awake enough to see them. That awareness makes you dangerous to the machinery of unconscious repetition. The question becomes, will you continue the script or cut it? To work with this principle is to live like a mage in slow motion. You write the email with honesty instead of manipulation. You choose the relationship that honors your soul instead of reenacting your abandonment. You practice when you don't feel like it. You sit with your shadow rather than projecting it. Tiny causes, compounding over time, create fates that people later call lucky or chosen. Look at your life. Where do you see clear sequences? This belief led to this choice, which led to this result. Can you trace your power, not just your pain? Can you see where you have already broken out of patterns others in your line never escaped? That is cause and effect, redeemed. The Kybalion is not standing over you with a ledger. It is pointing to the pen in your hand. The last principle is the most abused and misunderstood. Gender is in everything. Masculine and feminine principles are ever at work. This is not about human stereotypes. It is about polar forces of consciousness, active and receptive, penetrating and nurturing, directing and gestating word and womb, logos and sophia. Inside you, regardless of your body or identity, lives an inner masculine. Your capacity to choose, to focus, to set boundaries, to move with clarity. Inside you lives an inner feminine. Your capacity to feel, to receive, to intuit, to surrender to deeper wisdom, to hold life in your awareness. When they are split, masculine without heart, feminine without spine, your life fractals into confusion. Our world is built on wounded polarities. Dominator masculine hijacks as control, conquest, suppression. Collapsed feminine shows up as people-pleasing, passivity, self-abandonment. Religions encode God as only He, reason as superior to intuition, conquest as proof of favor. In reaction, some abandon structure altogether, mistaking chaos for freedom. Both and that your soul came here to remember itself as that dance, not as a casualty of its imbalance. So ask, where have I exiled my receptivity out of fear of being weak? Where have I exiled my strength out of fear of being rejected? Where is my inner union waiting to happen? When these answers start to surface, you'll understand why this principle was hidden under caricatures. A being who has married their own inner masculine and feminine cannot be controlled. By now you see why superficial readings of the Kybalion are dangerous. The same principles that can liberate can be twisted to chain. All is mind can become, your suffering is your fault. Vibration can become, never feel anything negative. Cause and effect can become, victims deserve what they got. This is not hermetic wisdom. This is weaponized half-truth. Real hermeticism is fiercely compassionate. It recognizes systems of oppression, trauma, abuse, and does not wave them away with "you attracted it." It acknowledges forces, seen and unseen, that feed on ignorance. It calls you to reclaim power without erasing the complexity of your wounds. It asks you to rise, not to blame yourself for being pushed down. The Kybalion also doesn't want you to become a manifestation addict, obsessed with parking spaces and paychecks while your soul starves. These laws do shape material outcomes, yes. But to use them only for egoic gain is like using a starship to drive to the grocery store. You are being handed the architecture of consciousness so you can align with your highest pattern, not just accessorize your avatar. Another warning. Detachment is not numbness. Transcendence is not dissociation. Understanding rhythm and polarity should not turn you into a spectator of your own life, muttering, "It's all an illusion," while bypassing intimacy, responsibility, activism, and love. If your spirituality makes you less human, less compassionate, less present, you are drifting away from hermetic truth, not towards it. The Kybalion is a doorway, not a throne. It synthesizes streams, but it is not the final word. You are meant to test it against your own direct experience, your own encounters with the divine. Let the principles sharpen your discernment, not replace your relationship with the living mystery. So here is the uncomfortable invitation. Are you willing to use these principles on yourself first? Not as weapons, but as mirrors. Are you willing to see how you've misused them, or where you've been misled by shallow teachers? Are you willing to let them burn away your excuses? Because if you are, then what was once esoteric theory becomes something else entirely. A razor you cut illusions with, a lantern you navigate shadow with, a compass that points relentlessly toward responsibility and remembrance. And that is precisely why this book tends to find people at the edge of their old life. It comes when you're barely holding on to beliefs that no longer fit. It comes when you're ready to stop pretending. If you are still here, something in you has recognized itself in these laws. Maybe you can feel it, a quiet click, a subtle quake. This isn't about agreeing with every line. It's about realizing that some part of you has been living these principles unconsciously your entire life. And now, the veil is thinner. This video is not the conclusion to a curiosity. It is the confirmation of a conversation your soul has been having with the universe for years. Every synchronicity that made you question coincidence, every dream that felt like a teaching, every heartbreak that forced you to confront your own patterns, every moment you sensed there was a structure behind the chaos, all of that led you here. So what now? Now, you stop treating your consciousness like a side project. You start honoring mentalism by watching the stories you repeat about yourself. You start living correspondence by reading your outer life as feedback instead of random punishment. You tune your vibration through honest feeling and daily practice. You refine polarity by refusing to be a pawn of extremes. You ride rhythm instead of panicking at every swing. You wield cause and effect by becoming an intentional cause in your own destiny. You heal gender by bringing your inner strength and inner softness back into sacred alliance. You do not need permission. You are not waiting for a gatekeeper. The very fact that you resonate with this means you are already walking. If this transmission is stirring something deep, don't let it fade into the scroll. Sit with it, re-watch it, journal with it, test it. Watch how quickly life responds when you align even slightly with these laws consciously. Not out of fear, but out of devotion to truth. And if you feel called to walk even deeper into this kind of knowledge, into living myth, Gnostic symbolism, Hermetic storytelling, and soul-igniting revelation, stay close. Explore the other journeys on this channel. Share this with the one friend you know is quietly waking up. Let this be a breadcrumb in someone else's awakening. Most of all, remember this. You are not a mistake in a hostile universe. You are a deliberate spark in a living mind, rediscovering the code that has always been humming beneath your suffering and your searching. The Kybalion didn't appear to you to make you feel special. It appeared to remind you you're responsible, powerful, and profoundly not alone. This book found you for a reason. Now it's your move.